here this morning. The early bite has been really good, so we're working around some structures. We got islands with a lot of oyster beds, some shell beds. There's docks and stuff along this other island. Good grass flats on both sides. This is actually another no motor zone, close to where we, just like the one we were close to yesterday. Almost at the top of the tide, so fish are probably going to be up nice and shallow near the island. Not a whole lot of current movement in here, but high tide, they'll be feeding. We're going to work some top water early till the sun gets up high. We'll do the jerk bait thing again. Follow up any missed top water strikes with the jerk bait or soft plastics. We're going to work our way around and hit all the points and see what we can get. So if you guys look up here, there's a shallow flat, lots of oysters and some shell beds. It is thick with bait. You can see it just flipping all over the top. Just an acre of bait. It's all mullet and other little bait fish. Every now and then you see a big splash or a big push of water. That's what we're after. Reds, trout, there's jacks on here, all kinds of stuff. They're all at all this bait. We hooked up to a decent trout, not a giant, but it's a pretty good fish. We're actually moving across this big river area, and there's like a hump of grass, little shelf, and saw some activity, started throwing, had a couple hits, so I power pulled down, threw out a few times, and he's hooked in the side now. He wasn't originally, but he is hooked in the side. Decent trout. Pretty fish. That is a speckled trout. Decent 17, 18-inch fish. See the fangs there in the mouth. Got a bottom row too, and then they usually have two right there in the top. He's missing one, little snaggle tooth. The yellow in the mouth, when they get real big, that whole mouth gets bright yellow. When they come up and shake the head, that's all you see is a yellow mouth shaking all around. But real pretty fish. They get a lot of coloration up top. Spots, they get some purple in them, iridescence, and they grass flats, oyster beds, that sort of thing. There's like a ridge that's running right down the middle of this. They call it Old River, and a grass bed. We stopped, saw some activity, a power pole down. Third time he hit it, and he finally got hooked up. So there's probably a few more in here. We're gonna check it out. We're gonna let this one go because it's getting warm. There he goes. So we started off this morning, low light conditions when the sun was not even up yet and when it's just low in the sky. We're working top water lures. Same thing we were doing yesterday. On top, as long as it's low light, we work that. As the sun's coming up, we're going to start transitioning. Sun is bright in the sky, higher angle. The fish aren't quite as apt to come up and hit something on top, so we're going to start transitioning down. We use the subwalk, Rapala subwalk, 6 inches to a foot deep. Same thing, working over the grass beds and potholes. And then as it gets higher yet, I really like using these jerk baits. I do a lot of jerk bait fishing, caught just about everything that swims around here on this particular one especially. This is a shadow wrap shad. When the sun's high in the sky, this is my confidence bait. A lot of flash, a lot of slash action, and it really draws a nice reaction bite when the fish are slow, like today when there's not a lot of tide movement, stuff like that. I'll go to that every time. Saved a lot of trips. So we're still on this same flat, and you can look out here and see all these the light colored areas, those are big potholes in the grass. And in those potholes, waiting to ambush bait, there's not just trout, reds, there's all kinds of stuff. We've caught 5 different species now. That is a solid summer trout from Pensacola right there, about 22, 23 inches. On a jerk bait, working it through the pothole. They're crushing bait. All right, so one of the pieces of gear that has become indispensable fishing on the flats is the power pole micro anchor. This tide and wind is just ripping across this flat. I give it 2 pushes of the button down, the power pole goes down, and I am anchored rock solid. You see a fish, you hit that button, stops you automatically, quiet as a mouse. You can make a good presentation of that fish. You hook up like I did here a few minutes ago, and you don't want to drift into a school of fish. Same thing, put the power pole down, and you're stuck. Super quick, super quiet, stealthy. One of the best pieces of gear I've got. Oh, that's a trout. Another good trout. Woo! Another solid trout. This flat is just on fire today. Lots of bait and it's getting destroyed. That's a nice fat happy trout. Go! So fishing these jerk baits for the trout, or any real lure really for the trout. Trout have a real thin mouth, almost like a freshwater crappie. Not quite as bad, but you want to keep your drag setting nice and light, especially with a big trout. Big trout have a tendency, you get them close to the boat, they make one hard run, and their mouth is so soft, if you have your drag too tight, they'll rip the lure right out of their mouth. So you keep a nice soft drag. That way when they get in, I got a bait buster right here off of that. That way when they get in close and they make that run, they don't pull the hooks right out of their mouth. That's that trout head shake I was telling you about. This is what we were looking for this morning, something more like that. Look at the gut on that thing. Nice and fat. That's a healthy trout. I'm gonna let her go. It's nice.